What's going on, everybody? I hope you enjoyed the the very Brock opening, and you'll get why there's a little bit of a Brock theme today when I get into my Brock theory in a little bit. A lot of stuff going on. First thing I want to acknowledge is I would like to make sure everybody that's watching this video is also checking out the Ed Crowley interview I did. It should be the video right next to it on the uploads little bar that should be right on top of the screen, you know. Make sure you check that out. Creators Corner number 5 with Ed Crowley. It is hysterical. If you like music, if you like a really good singer, make sure you check it out. I do feature some of his work in there, and he tells some of the funniest stories I've heard in a long time. I really think you'll enjoy it. So make sure you check that out. Also, we are approaching the 200 subscriber milestone. So I want to say thank you for that. We are getting really close. We're almost there. We're at 190, which is amazing. I'm completely blown away by this. I was never expecting it. Never expecting it. Today is your daily focus, and we got a lot to get to. I didn't do a random Wednesday yesterday because I did a full SmackDown review, but I decided today would be a random Wednesday where I just talk about stuff. This is going to be mainly sports. Stick with it to the end. I know some of you out there are not big NFL, baseball guys, whatever. Just stick with it. I'm going to talk for maybe 5 minutes on other stuff, and then I will get to a story you're going to want to hear. Some really cool stuff about Brock Lesnar. I think you guys are going to want to hear it. It's a cool theory. I think it could be possible, so make sure you stay tuned for that. All right, let's jump right into the sports news. Let's start with a little bit of Bears news. Chicago Bears, that is. Not Macing Bears, Dave Rose. No Macing Bears today. Even though I wouldn't mind if Jay Cutler got fucking maced, but the next best thing happened. He's getting benched. Why is this relevant? Well, for a couple reasons. One, we get to see if Jimmy Clausen has anything left. He's not very old yet. I think he's like 27. He's been in the league a few years. Never really got a chance. We know he was a hell of a college quarterback. Doesn't really mean much. Maybe he could do something with this offense that Cutler just can't do for whatever reason. Cutler doesn't look like he gives a shit. He's this year. This is an astounding fact. Astounding. This year, Jay Cutler is the highest paid player in professional football. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, we gave him a big deal at the beginning of the season because this offense had the potential to be like all world. I mean, it's all fucking shit is what it is. So Jimmy Clausen getting a start. What are your thoughts on that? I think, the Bears are probably going to go 1-1 in their final 2 games. But what do you do with a guy who has $38 million left guaranteed, like Cutler does? Even if Clausen comes in and kills it, what does it matter? No one's going to take Cutler. So what do? Do we cut him? Do we eat that money? Eesh. I don't know. Jim Harbaugh, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, is highly considering an offer from Michigan to be their coach. By all intents and purposes, Harbaugh's gone after this year in San Francisco. The writing's been on the wall for a while, and the giant step backwards that the team has taken has not helped anything. The thing about Harbaugh is he's going to be a wanted coach wherever he goes. He's getting offered like $8 million a year to go coach in Michigan. Ooh. My God. That's going to be hard to turn down. But I think he can get around the same, maybe a little more, from an NFL team. I mean, let's face it. The guy is going to be sought after. Just because this year ended up sucking because they had an aging roster and a roster that couldn't keep out of trouble in basically the most difficult division in football. What are you going to do? I don't know. Moving on to baseball. GM of the Yankees, Brian Cashman, saying he cannot expect much out of A-Rod this season, which is a fair assessment. However, it looks like he is going to be the permanent DH for the Yankees. No more third base because they went ahead and signed Chase Headley to a contract, kept him. So no third base for A-Rod, even though he wants to. They got a Gregoris to man shortstop in the wake of Derek Jeter. So A-Rod's going to be DH. Now, what can we expect out of A-Rod? He hasn't played in over a season. You got to figure that he's kept himself in good shape. Yeah, he's taken more drugs than fucking... I couldn't think of a good name of a legendary drug taker. Pablo Escobar. I don't know. He's taking a lot of drugs. But here's what steroids does to baseball players. It turns fringe players into starters. It turns starters into greats. It turns greats into all-time legends. That's what it does. A-Rod is still going to hit. I think they're probably going to expect somewhere around 275 batting average, between 18 and 25 home runs, 70 to 85 RBI, which is solid numbers. There's nothing wrong with that for a 40-year-old player. But they're paying him to be a lot more than that. But they knew that, look, when this contract was made, this is why these long-term contracts don't work out. They knew how old he was going to be, and he was not going to sustain what he was doing. So, it is what it is. What do you think about A-Rod? Should he even be still playing? Does it matter? Do you care? Most people don't. Let's go into wrestling, because I know that most of you are like, get to wrestling, fat man. So that's what I'm going to do. Tribute to the Troops were last night, and it was a good show. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't fantastic or anything. They do what they do, and we know what we're going to get out of it. I've been to one, almost went to a second, but they're fantastic. But we had some tag team matches. We had a little Divas Battle Royal, Santa's Helper Divas Battle Royal. I mean, I don't really even care about the winners because really there's only two things that really mattered during the entire show, and that was the boot camp match between Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, which Sergeant Slaughter was involved in. And after he threw Dean Ambrose a boot, a steel-toed boot, he knocked out Bray Wyatt with it, put him on a table, and gave him one of those terrible-looking elbow drops from a ladder through a table. Or maybe not even through a ladder, I think he threw a table, and won. Now, does that end the feud? That's what we want to know. Is it over? Fuck, please. But even that isn't the biggest thing that happened. The biggest thing that happened, and which was probably just a one-off, was a big return for Daniel Bryan, who, he's been on TV lately, but this is the first confrontation he's really had as far as almost getting physical. And it was a cool segment with Rusev. Bryan comes out and gets a huge pop. Huge pop. And next thing you know, you got soldiers coming in from the crowd. You got soldiers coming in from the rafters. You have all of this stuff. And it was really cool to see the rafter thing coming down from, you're rappelling in, because it's something we don't see anymore since the Owen Hart stuff. So, WWE doesn't do things without a reason. Now, were they doing this because maybe Sting will be coming back? I know that's a stretch, but it's a cool stretch. Because wouldn't it be cool to see Sting come down again from the rafters? Wouldn't that just be awesome? I mean, it really would. Probably won't happen because it would set off a firestorm of controversy. We know that it would, and it would. But the cool thing about this whole confrontation was Rusev challenged Bryan, and for a second it looked like Bryan was going to fight the guy. And from all the reports that we are now hearing, Bryan is 2 months away from returning to in-ring action. I was done. I thought he was done. Thought it was over. I really didn't think he'd be getting back in the ring, and I hope he's well enough to do so. But that means we're going to have Bryan by friggin' WrestleMania. That could change things drastically. Because is this the feud that we might see? Bryan versus Rusev? I hope not, because I think Bryan's capable of a lot more than that. But, we're not quite sure what's going to happen. And the theory I'm going to talk about with Brock Lesnar in a moment, that could mean something here. So let's keep that in mind. Let's file that in the back of our minds, shall we? Dolph Ziggler news. For what it's worth, Rolling Stone has named Dolph Ziggler as their WWE Wrestler of the Year. At least somebody's acknowledging this guy. They talk about not bad for a former male cheerleader because he was part of the Spirit Squad. It's not bad. I think it's a good thing for him that he's getting a little bit of mainstream exposure. I think it'll play into his push. I think it's only going to help. Look, if you get basically as far as we know, unsolicited mainstream media press, WWE is going to take note of that. So hopefully, this is only going to help Ziggler's status in the company. So with any luck, that'll happen. All right, Brock Lesnar news time. All right, and I wanted I got to thank Flaming Daddy he's one of the commenters. He's always on my videos. He's always commenting underneath my videos. He's got great things to say. And he mentioned something that I found interesting, that he asked if I thought Brock Lesnar this all was building to him dropping the belt at the Royal Rumble. And I started thinking, because at first I was like, no, you're fucking crazy. He's going to Mania. But maybe that's not the case. Now, bear with me for a second. Let's think about this. About 3 months ago, there was a big report about the change in Brock Lesnar's contract. It got changed to a pay-for-play deal, okay, which is pretty big, news. And I think it's ended up just being they put a clause in his contract to where they could add more dates to the dates he already had on his contract for X amount of dollars per appearance, which, might negate my entire theory altogether. But we don't know for sure. It's all speculation. But the way that they've handled Brock Lesnar as champion, him not being on television, it makes you ask why. Now, yes, they defend it with the special attraction bullshit, which I don't really buy because, yes, live appearances, 100% correct. They feel more special when he shows up. However, every week, what is wrong with a 2-minute vignette of him training and sending a message talking about how they're not worthy? Nobody in the back is worthy of challenging him, so why even show up? They could show him pounding on meat, fucking kicking goats, milking cows, whatever, fucking bench pressing a moose. Why not? They could have done so many things, and they've done nothing. And that makes me think Brock Lesnar's been training for something else. He's been busy. He's had his hands full. Now, this has kind of been confirmed for me when he came out on Raw. Because without the title and everything, that was which pissed me off quite a bit. Yes, he came out later with the title. But the first thing I noticed when he came out, I go, whoa, Brock looks different. Brock looks different. He looks much thinner. He looks more like he did when he was fighting MMA. He looks like he's in fighting condition, real fighting condition. He looked thinner. He looked way more toned. He looked like he was ready for a real fight. He didn't have the show muscles that he likes to have in the WWE. A little bit bigger, a little bulkier. Now, that it could be completely coincidental. I mean, it could be his disease, keeping him his eating habits in check, or maybe he's got into DDP yoga. Who the fuck knows? I mean, there's all kinds of things that it could mean. But with all of that into play, this theory comes to my head. What if the plan, maybe not all along, but has changed recently to Brock Lesnar losing the title to John Cena, which would piss a lot of people off at the Royal Rumble? Now, people, before you jump off a fucking bridge at that thought, let's think about something else that might lend a little bit of credence to this. The Authority has to come back at some point, and the biggest advocate for bringing the Authority back is Seth Rollins. Now, Seth Rollins stated on Tuesday Night SmackDown that he is going to make John Cena's life a living hell and make him as miserable as possible until he brings back the Authority. Now, what better way to do that than to cash in on Cena at the Royal Rumble, because we know the Authority has to be back by Mania. Cash in on Cena at the Royal Rumble after he beats Brock Lesnar. They've already done Rollins getting involved in a Cena-Lesnar match, so you got to figure they're not going to do the exact same ending they did before. So what about this? Cena wins. Lesnar goes apeshit, destroys Cena. Rollins comes and cashes in. And then instead of this Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the title at Mania, what if we're looking at more of a Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Seth Rollins, and possibly even Roman Reigns in a 4-way at WrestleMania for the title? That would be a much more interesting match. Or what if Brock just decides to leave altogether? Right after the Royal Rumble? Now, I know that's a little more far-fetched because he is still being advertised. I got his advertising dates right here. He is advertised for the December 29th show, which as far as we know, that is still happening. January 12th. We know he's been taken off the January 19th show in Dallas, which is the Royal Rumble Go Home show, and they replaced him with HBK, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan for what is going to be a ridiculous reunion show. That should be really crazy. And then he is advertised for January 26th, which is after the Rumble, obviously, February 9th, February 23rd, and March 30th. So basically consecutive Raws there. He's going to be at a lot of Raws in that period of time. But that could change. What if he just hasn't been pulled from advertising yet? I think it could go either way. I kind of like my Fatal 4-Way idea. That is something that could happen. But the addition of Bryan back into the mix is something that could change a lot of things. I'm not sure. Look, we're 5.5 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. There's a lot that can happen. And there's also this marketing, this merchandise story that's very interesting. The companies that work for the WWE that actually do the merchandising, create the shirts, they were told to stop making Brock Lesnar, no more new Brock Lesnar gear, and anything they had earmarked for Brock Lesnar to pivot onto Sheamus, which could possibly mean Sheamus is getting pushed, or it's just, they kind of match up enough to where the shirts are similar enough to where it made sense. Who knows? But all these things, to me, suggest that something is going to change, that something is not going to be what we think it is, that we're not going to get just Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar one-on-one for the title at Mania, which would be fucking horrible. Anyway, I wouldn't want to see that match. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think this is an interesting way to look at it. I think something could happen here. I want to know what you guys think. And before we get out of here, because I think I've rambled on for a good few minutes, I wanted to make sure, once again, you guys know to go ahead and check out my interview with the great Ed Crowley, this fantastic musician and all-around funny British man. It should be the video right next to this one in the upload section. Make sure you check it out. You can also find it in the Creators Corner section. It is Creators Corner number 5. And I want to give a quick shout-out to my boy, Abstract Muscle. He's a good guy, man. He's one of my best viewers I got. He absolutely is always on everything. He's always checking out. He's always leaving good comments. I had him on last night for a new segment I want to do where it's like a fan interaction where I want to bring selected, not everybody because most of you people are fucking crazy, but for those of you who are not crazy, and even some of the crazy ones, because I can't go live, I can't take callers, I'd like to every now and then have somebody on for 2, 3, 4 minutes, get your opinions out. We'll rap for a few minutes and talk. Well, he was going to be the first one I recorded, and yet again, I had some issues with my damn software, and I did not record his audio. I've been doing that a lot lately, but I can't really blame exhaustion on that one. It was just a software problem. So, I'm sorry I couldn't get you on, buddy, but I'm going to get you on soon again, I promise. And I appreciate all the loyalty from everybody out there who's been checking me out. So make sure you continue to follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We're almost at 200 subs. It would be awesome if we can get to 200 subs by the next couple of days. That'd be badass. That'd be really cool. And don't forget, when we get to 500 subs, which is still a long ways away, of course, I will be doing a giveaway of all of items that selected from all my unboxings that my daughter and I do, from Nerd Block, Arcade Block, Loot Chest, which is a German version of Loot Crate. All of these things, we're going to be selecting items out of those boxes from previous boxes and what we'll be getting in the future. We're going to select items and we're going to create a box and send it out to one lucky subscriber once we hit that 500 subscriber mark. So get us there, people. Without you, none of this happens. If I didn't have people who actually wanted to listen, I wouldn't continue to do this. So I appreciate it. And I'm going to get you out of here on this, a special look at some of my favorite Brock Lesnar moments. Enjoy. See you tomorrow on Daily Focus. Peace.
I will see you on Sunday! Let's